Hi everybody, it's me, GhostCritic. I'm back with my latest comic book review video, and if you saw my video on Wednesday with my pull list, you will know that I had a huge stack of comics to have to read this week. Not that I didn't enjoy myself, I'm trying not to complain, though my wallet is. Doing a proper full review this week would have this video going on for at least an hour, and I know some of you think that's fine, but even I don't want to hear myself talk for an hour, so I'm certainly not going to subject you guys to it either. So this week's reviews are going to be as concise as I possibly can make it. For some of these books it's a shame because they were really good and there's plenty to talk about, but time is tight. So let's crack on with... I'm only putting this at the bottom because it came out last week. It is by far not the worst book I read this week. Thor issue 4, Jason Aaron and Douterman on artwork. This is just an amazing book, and it is this close to finally making it onto my pull list. It had a very satisfying ending to this first story arc. We have our original Thor kind of accepting his new role as just the Odin son now, and also accepting our new Lady Thor and the kind of ideals she instills. The question that a lot was asked right at the beginning about the identity of Thor, Lady Thor, is still under wraps, but at least we know it isn't for definite his mother. Otherwise that kiss would have been rather awkward. Really, Douterman needs to stay on this book as artist because he's doing a phenomenal job. It's just a nice, pretty package with a brand fresh new look at the Thor character. Okay, let's move on to the books that came out this week, and we're beginning with Batman Eternal, issue 44. This was just dire. I'm sorry, I cannot find... There's a slither of a redeeming quality here, but I hated it, and I had such high hopes given how good the last issue was. This is basically Batman chasing down Professor Milo within an airport environment. Now, I thought you Americans were pretty stringent with your airport security. He would have been taken down ages ago without the need for all this ridiculous over-the-top action. It was just ridiculous. It didn't excite me. It didn't intrigue me at all in the slightest. We have an odd glimpse at Nightwing, who's still suffering from ghosts in his flat, but that was in no way progressed as a storyline. Spoiler and Harper have a tussle because Spoiler wants to go out and tell the world that Bruce Wayne is a bad man, and it really goes against how those two ended in the last issue, where they kind of found an equilibrium between the two, and you know, you could see a friendship building there, but in the end they end up fighting in this issue, and it just felt weak. The artwork by Aiko was okay, but because of the fun, fresh outlook that we had in the last issue by La Fuente, I was hoping he was going to be on for at least a couple more issues. We haven't got long till the end of this, and I just feel like this is such hard work. And I know me and Damien, Sleepy Reader 666, laughed about this, but, you know, I've got to see it to the end. At least the end of this particular run. But what? No. We move on to another Batman title. It is Detective Comics issue 39, and all those kind of disparate storylines are actually finally coming together and are making more sense in the grand scheme of things. So fair play to our creators for making us work for a storyline that at first seemed so random, and then bring it all together to make a fully fledged storyline that connects. What happened here? It's interesting that they are making Anarchy much more of a kind of vigilante type character rather than an all-out villain, and this is to do with the inclusion of the Mad Hatter, and it makes sense about the masks now, and why everyone, you know, just by donning a mask is gone like kind of batshit crazy, is wrecking the streets of Gotham, because of course wherever Mad Hatter's involved there's a sense of mind control, and these masks of course have kind of technology integrated in them that is using these people, the Gothamites, to just act crazy and not like their normal selves. So it's all great. I'm starting to again enjoy this storyline, but of course the winner at the moment with Detective Comics is the gorgeous artwork. I mean, Capullo's great and all, but we've had Capullo for 40 odd issues almost, and you just always know what to expect. And it's not that it's bad art at all. Capullo is great drawing Batman, but with our friends Buccellotto and Manapul, they just have created this style of Batman I've not seen ever in my kind of brief patchy run of reading Batman, but it is gorgeous and I love the style. Fiction Squad, issue 5 of 6 from Boom Studios, and you almost feel like this issue, halfway through you think, but there's another issue of this to come out, what is going to happen? The master puppeteer that's been kind of playing off all the queens, the White Queen, all the Wizard of Oz one, not the Wizard of Oz, Alice in Wonderland, the cards, the Queen's deck, playing them all off each other, they are revealed, and he's been under our nose, literally, since the very beginning. And it's a fun, again, with this title, it's always fun and it's a fun reveal. And this is the point where you think, okay, what's going to happen now? Our villain of the piece has been revealed, surely. But our detective, he tries to sort of like get a truce going with all our warring factions. Of course, it goes completely wrong, but this is his plan to begin with, to draw out that mysterious black figure that has been able to be in multiple realms within our kind of Fable Land universe. And it is almost Fable-esque in its use of this character as our big bad villain. And I'm guessing, well, it's obvious with only one more issue, this is kind of like the final confrontation between our dark, mysterious character. It's cleverly done. I could have seen this more with a serious tone, obviously, as a Vertigo title Fable storyline. But Paul Jenkins and Raymond Bax have just had fun with this book. They've made it entertaining and just funny quips and sides and little Easter eggs to look out for. Just made it a really entertaining book to read. Swamp Thing issue 39, and as this is the penultimate issue of the series, it didn't feel very much of anything. You know, we've got Swamp Thing, he's been attacked by the kind of evil reincarnated Alec Holland, he's kind of battled and he's been eaten by him, and he's left there dying, unable to regrow because the green has been infected by Anton Arcane. And Abby's taken him to that kind of one character that has always kind of been intrinsically linked from the very beginning of Swamp Thing, and that is of course Constantine looking for his help in you know, perking Swamp Thing up a little bit to take on this final battle. Machine Queen goes against her avatars, her kind of parliament that have made her. Very much akin to what Alec did with his parliament, and this kind of similarity is not lost on Machine Queen whatsoever. In fact, she sees it as very much a good idea, so she is now in total control. And okay, right at the very end of this, we have ourselves a green army, so to speak. But I just don't feel any tension, any big cliffhanger to go into our final issue of this volume of Swamp Thing, which, by the way, all these new titles that are going to come after Convergence, Swamp Thing isn't there. This is it for the foreseeable future. Issue 40 is going to be a 40-page special, and it's going to be $1 extra, but hopefully Charles Soule is going to blow my socks off with the final issue of what has been a great run from him. The Woods issue 10 is very much a setup for, I'm guessing, the kind of ending to this first, well, is it the first story arc? It could quite possibly be the second, but we learn a lot more about these kind of glowing black rocks and the power that they have inside, how they are being caged, so to speak, when they appear, because they do seem to appear every time a new kind of population or civilization is abducted from wherever they are from. It's good, I guess, to see that the kids weren't as dumb as they were portrayed in the last issue, how naive they looked in completely accepting this new civilization, and this was really kind of a sneaky information gathering ploy. They are clearly not happy, as is always the case with these kind of, on the face of it, utopian civilizations that have created and brought people together to try and survive this tragedy that they are living through. There is always a kind of seedy, dark history and motives and agendas attached to it. And a fight certainly looks in the offing, but there is a certain amount of resistance from within the community already existing there. I wonder if all our kind of characters, the school children, are going to somehow get some kind of superpowers from these green rocks to escape, to bring down the rulers of this community. It's interesting to find out where James Tynion is going to take this story. I have no idea how long this title is going to last for, whether this is a limited run or it's an ongoing, but he's got me intrigued. I'm certainly not going to be dropping the Woods for some time. Star Wars issue 2 from Marvel. I had just as much fun with this as I did the first one. We have Luke facing off Vader with pretty disastrous results. Han Solo trying to control and maneuver an AT-AT. That is just hilarious, and the kind of back and forths between Leia and Han, just it's just so well suited. We have C-3PO and his vain attempts in trying to rid the Millennium Falcon of these scavengers, and it's just the whole tone and the style fits perfectly. It just feels like a lost episode or missing scene from the original trilogy. Aaron is just knocking this out of the park. I do love Cassidy's artwork, though that final last page with the kind of Vader with the stormtroopers behind him felt a little bit action figure-y. That's a new word I've made up. So we've got issue 17 of East of West, and you never really know what to expect when one of these issues turns up in your stack. With this issue, we kind of drop in on a couple of the, I guess, states within this kind of America. It is America continent, and it begins with the president housed in the Black Tower. He's doing all his usual kind of manipulating, trying to push through his own secret agenda. You've still got the mysterious disembodied voice that in some ways seems like they're controlling him. But there are the usual dirty dealings going on there. We drop in on the kingdom, where we have our prince overlooking his fellow brothers in a kind of brutal target practice, and also talking about financial dealings with the Union and his maybe over-exuberant use of the royal treasury. And then we have the rest of the book is a fantastic scene between Death and his wife, whose name I can never pronounce, so I'm not even going to try and do it again. But they are discussing their son and what they are going to do about him. Obviously, we've seen him a few pages previous, making his way to who knows where really, but it's interesting to see that he himself is being manipulated by this kind of robotic entity that's attached to him, that's showing him a world very much darker, very much more violent than it actually is. Just a great, well-told story by Hickman, and as usual, Dragotta draws the shit out of this. He is amazing and is certainly a huge pull for anyone that's still reading East of West. It is a bit of a slow burner with this issue. There's not much in the way of action, so to speak. But the art style, the characters, the environments, they just suck you in. Birthright issue 5 still continues to surprise me at how much I am enjoying this title, given that this was a book I dismissed outright from the very beginning and picked up later down the line and caught up with it, and I'm just enjoying this so much. We've got Mikey going up against our first wizard, and it's a wonderfully portrayed battle with trees and vines and fire and magic and big flaming swords. You can't get much better than that. But with our first wizard's dying breath, he gifts Brennan a certain seeing eye, which has made for an interesting development with our kind of trio of father and sons. Will he though know how to interpret what he's actually seeing now? The issue ends with the two brothers on their own now, as the wife finally catches up with the father, and the kind of the conflict that is going on between them. And then we have a heavily pregnant friend of Mikey's appear. Is Mikey a daddy? This is just a great book. It's amazing how much this book is good. Pick it up. So we have this new series of Stray Bullets, Sunshine and Roses from David Lapham, and he does not really stray too far. Oh, pun intended. He doesn't stray too far from what we've previously read. These are very much slice of life tales with an incredibly violent edge to them. Beth is still here, but she has a new beau now, who just happens to be an assassin for hire, and he is basically stirring up trouble within the gangs of this town, city, hick town, and it's just that I don't know what it is with David Lapham. He just tells a really great story. The dialogue feels real. And of course he always has that unpredictable twist right at the very end. You're not going to get it. If you enjoyed the first Stray Bullets, The Killers, you are going to enjoy this as well. If you missed out on The Killers, there's no reason why you can't just drop into this. You don't need to have any previous experience of the last volume or any of the previous titles. So if you want something that's a little bit more darker, a bit more character driven, then Stray Bullets, Sunshine and Roses, it's for you. We have a new #1, of course, from Image. It is Grant Morrison's latest creator-owned comic. It is Nameless, it's been billed as a horror comic, but given it's Grant Morrison, it's just kind of drugged out weirdness, really. It's this whole what is real, what's a dream. We have this global phenomenon of cult killings, and we focus in on our main character who is after a dream key. So cue men with amphibious heads, mysterious veiled women, sigils on doors that lead to anti-universes, and we are going to be going up into space with the next issue. This is crazy but cool. This needs a reread to just soak in all the madness, the craziness, the kind of drug-fueled storytelling that is going on in this book. Chris Burnham's artwork is fantastic, portraying all these crazy creatures and characters we are meeting along the way. Certainly a great start to another new Image title. Saga issue number 25, and I wonder how many of you thought this was going to be my pick of the week. Well, although it has finally kind of come back to form that I used to enjoy and love, and wasn't feeling like it was getting a bit dreary, it didn't just quite make it because there was obviously a better book this week. Hazel, our child, or at least the future Hazel, narrates the history of the war between Reese and Landfall, and how it has kind of lost its initial meaning to the actual planets as the war has spread out further and further away from their origins, their roots, so to speak. Fiona Staples definitely gets to kind of stretch her imaginative penmanship here, as the artwork is just great again. We have Gwen, the Brand, Sophie with Lion Cat going after, the dragon seaman to help the Will wake up from his coma or get him better, whatever they need this dragon semen for. But she gets to play around with some crazy coloured dragons, and it just pops more now. You can tell that Fiona is having a lot more fun again on this title. As I said, she's getting to stretch that artistic imagination of hers again. And by the end of this title we see a new team of crazy looking characters called the Revolution, who seem to not be a group that you should be messing with. I dig this 25th issue. It's certainly back on form, and finally, that's all I can say. Good stuff, Saga. So there we are with my books of the week. Hope that didn't drag on too long. Obviously there is still a pick of the week to come. If you watch my Wednesday video, you will already know what this is. Until you get to see that, which will be uploaded right after this, hit the subscribe button if you're not already subscribed so you won't miss out on any more of my weekly videos. Give this video a big thumbs up, and in the comment section down below, let me know what you thought of the books I picked up. And sorry it was so short, if it was. Until next week, bye bye.